everyone, welcome to the Comic Game and Movie Show. My name's Deshaun, and today I am here to give you an anime of the week. I haven't done this in a while, along with my action classics. I've had action classics, I've just been working. But the animation thing is, if you know me, you know that I have a hard time with anime. There's certain animes that I don't like. There's plenty of animes, but very few that I actually genuinely like and want to watch to completion. But I have found one recently that I will admit I actually enjoyed. At least I enjoyed it for the most part, and that is the Black Clover. Yes, Black Clover has been a big rising anime for quite a bit now. I've heard people talking about it on Twitter. I just recently heard Keith Lee of the WWE talking about how he's down with the Black Clover, and I was just like, you know what? And that's what kind of made me give Black Clover a chance. I heard Keith Lee on Up Up Down Down, Xavier Woods' gaming channel. I heard him mention it, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. It was on Hulu. At least the first season was on Hulu. I have Hulu, and I decided to check it out. And I absolutely had a blast with the first season. Now, I'm going to be reviewing the first two seasons, because those are the seasons I saw. Admittedly, I did see a good chunk of the third season as well, but I'm not going to get into that until I see the entirety of it. I think there's only about most of it's on Funimation, but not the entire thing. Which, by the way, this is where I watched the entire second season, is on Funimation. They have a 7-day trial, and Funimation has every freaking thing almost. Because I tried to use Crunchyroll, but Crunchyroll just has everything in Japanese. I didn't know that was what Crunchyroll was, because I was just like, I can't find anything in English dub. And I'm like, I'm just not. So I tried Funimation, found the entirety of season 2 and a huge chunk of season 3 in English dub, and I've been watching it on Funimation. But let me get into this. Black Clover is very much in the vein of Naruto, in terms of the way it feels, in terms of the character interactions, in terms of the way people operate, the themes, the music. It is very much in the themes of the original seasons 1, 2, 3 of Naruto. Like, it really is in the vein. Like, if you watch this show, if you are a fan of Naruto and you watch Black Clover, you're really gonna be like, yeah, this really is the same. Like when I was watching it, I thought for a brief moment, I was like, why does this feel familiar? I was like I'm watching it. When I was watching the first few episodes of it, I was like, it feels familiar. It feels familiar and new all at the same time because of the environment. But to get into it, in the world, you follow this main protagonist named Asta. Short, little, scrappy dude. I'll get into him later. He's very much in the same model as Naruto, almost identical to Naruto in terms of his feistiness, his desire, his loud, boisterous, loudest dude in the room mentality. It is work hard to overcome your whatever limitations. He is totally in the same vein as Naruto. But anyways, he lives in the Clover Kingdom, which in the Clover Kingdom, well, most in the world, as it's very much hinted to, magic is everything. So one of the first lines in the anime you see is magic is everything. Everyone has magic abilities. Now, magic abilities in this world are unique because in this world, you get your magic abilities when you're old enough. You get a book called a grimoire. Is it a grimoire or grimoire? I always say it wrong. And in this book, you get a magical ability. Now, typically your magical ability is probably going to be something related to either your personality or your heritage and your heritage of some sort, your parents of some sort. For instance, if you get a grimoire and you have ice magic, chances are either your parents or your brother or someone in your bloodline has had water type or ice kind of magic. But that's how it, and they kind of work it, they kind of make it weird because they do blur the line, because at the top they say that all the powers come from the 4 elements, earth, water, wind, the 3 elements, earth, water, wind, fire. And you can get powers that are related to all these, to all of these elements. It's like an offshoot. Like, for instance, ice powers. You can have powers to just make ice stuff, ice magic. That's related to water. You can have the light magic, that could be related to, could be related to the fire. There's things of that nature. Like, that's how it kind of works. They really get a little flexible with how that works, because sometimes people get magic that don't make any sense, and every once in a while someone will have a magic ability and you're just like, how does that relate to any element? Like, I'm sure they could stretch it out and make it make sense, but still, the different abilities people can get and the different ways they use it is a really fun element of the show. It's really fun. Almost kind of, what it's like? It's almost kind of like Full Metal Alchemist and the Alchemists, how all these alchemists have different abilities and different ways of going about doing different things. And that's one of the fun aspects of the show. But the kingdom is ruled over by the Clover King and the Wizard King, who is, all intents and purposes, essentially the Hokage of the Clover Kingdom. The way that the main protagonist Asta talks about him, the way everyone looks at him being the strongest person in the entire kingdom, him being an actual nice, genuinely nice guy, right down to what happens in season 2. He is pretty much the Hokage in seasons 1 and 2 of Naruto. It's almost identical. Right down to the fact that the main protagonist keeps saying, I want to be the Wizard King one day, which is exactly like how Naruto, and he says it just exactly and as many times as Naruto always says he wants to be Hokage. That's how similar they are. But it's also broken down. You have these, these magic knights, these wizard knights, these knights who are supposed to protect, who are like military, and they're supposed to protect over the land of the Clover Kingdom, and they have their captains and whatnot. It's that first season, at least that first season, I thought was definitely a fun ride, especially since in the beginning, Natsu, you really, like I said, he really brought the same stuff Naruto brought. You really felt for him because he has this best friend called Yuno. And Yuno is completely in the same vein as Sasuke. The way he is, the calm, cool demeanor, the I think I'm better than you without speaking to you, the way that he acts, the Yuno and Asta relationship, it's totally Sasuke and Naruto. It's the exact same thing. The difference is that unlike Sasuke and Naruto, who became friends later on in life, after Sasuke lost his family, after Naruto had gotten used to growing up on his own and finally finding, friendship and kindness. So they were coming from two different perspectives. While, Asta and Yuno are coming from the same perspective. They both were orphans left at a church. They were raised together. They both were raised in the same environment, with the same people, and they just came out and from the very beginning, they had a brotherly relationship from the jump. So it's why the anime was wise to do. The one thing I will say it's only one thing this anime did do better than Naruto did in its first season is it pretty much skipped the whole beat of, Sasuke. You know how in Naruto Sasuke was all like, kind of fuck you, Naruto, I don't care. But like there was this whole little patch where Sasuke didn't think of Naruto as much, and yeah, whatever, I don't care about you. And Naruto had to earn it, had to make Sasuke reconsider it and make Sasuke earn Sasuke's respect. That wasn't the case in this, because from the very beginning they had each other's respect. Now sure, they won't say it because they're dudes, but from the very beginning they had each other's respect. They are brothers, they grew up together, so they skip right by the bullshit section of the rivalry and get right to the you're my rival, I know what you're capable of. If no one in this room believes in you, I definitely do. I know what you can do, and I'm not gonna take my eyes off of you, because if I do, the moment that I don't take you seriously is the moment you're gonna surprise me. And they just get right by that part. They just get right to the good part from the very beginning. And it makes for an interesting dynamic, because when Asta does overcome obstacles, the irony is he's thinking about Yuno, and when Yuno overcomes obstacles, he's thinking about Asta. And it makes it have this interesting, fun dynamic between the two, especially since when they do get together, it's fun because they just look at the world, they just look at the whole kingdom differently. You gotta understand, the Clover Kingdom, technically they're like the royal, like where all the big people live. Like the Clover Kingdom is big, but there's like this huge mountain with an entire city on top of it. And that's where all the magic knights and shit are. And underneath that, it's just like where Asta and them were living. In fact, just to travel there in the, like, I believe the 3rd episode, just traveling there, just to even sign up to try to become a magic knight was like an entire journey through the woods and the desert. Between them and that tall mountain is a desert and woods. Just to get there was a hell of a fucking feat. So you gotta understand, to them, being in this, huge, regal environment with all these, royals and people of wealth and people who can afford to live up here is a fucking mind-blowing experience. It's like these boys from the sticks, but they handle it differently. Asta acts like a boy from the sticks. The way he is, the way he talks, the way he acts, while, the way he acts, the way he talks, if you didn't know he was from the Boons, you wouldn't know. The way he is, the way he talks, the calm, cool demeanor he has, you wouldn't know. And that's kind of like, and I liked how they played that dynamic. There are a lot of great characters, but I don't got all day to talk about all of it. I will say the action in this is very good. It's really good action. It's really well thought out. Sometimes it can get a little power, like, just power. Sometimes it can get a little Dragon Ball DBZ with the whole just being more stronger thing. Sometimes. But generally speaking, they do a good job. They even acknowledge multiple times that certain elements just do well against other elements. Like, sometimes, and they do it, which is why I say I give them credit, sometimes a lesser stronger opponent can win just because the element of power, magic he has, is the complete opposite. You come at an ice guy with fire, with blazing fire, you might melt all of his ice. And I do love that dynamic. Love that dynamic. I love the way it works. The beginning, I dug Asta, and I dug the rest of the black, because Asta ends up joining the Magic Knight group, the Black Bulls, which are basically all the renegades of the Magic Knight community. They're just fucking psychopaths who happen to be really talented, and a couple of them later on get really freaking strong. And in particular, one character who gets something and becomes really fascinating. This anime does do a good job. It's one other thing too. A lot of animes tend to have characters who don't get any shine at all, and you kind of just find yourself wondering why they're even in this damn thing. They're just here for comedy bits, and that's about it. No. Once they introduced Asuka's team group, the Black Bulls, I thought that's how it was going to be. I was like, okay, there's some characters, because they all have gimmicks, they all have a thing. One character's a fight-aholic, one character gets drunk all the time. They got one character is a giant, huge thing that will be revealed later on. And they all have their own hang-ups. And you gotta think, okay, that's what they're going to be. A couple of them might get explored more. But by the time Season 2 ended, almost every single one of the Black Bulls had got explored and got explanations for why they are who they are, how they got where they got. And all of it was, and most of it was satisfactory. I will say, just to end it with a couple of the problems of this anime. First of all, it doesn't have a lot of bite to it. And what I mean by that is, no one really dies, and the people who do die no one really cares about except for one character. But even the way that happened felt like Naruto too. I mean, he even died the same way. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but it is like, this shit just copying Naruto. Like, it's just crazy. But it's nuts how much they copy Naruto. It's like, literally, sometimes it's just like, dude, did you guys just rip Naruto off, dude? But anywho, like, and the thing is, no one dies, and the main protagonist, Asta, is just constantly saving people. I'm not gonna lie to you. At first, I was okay with it, but the amount of bad guys who are really have real convictions in what they're doing, who are turned by Asta, is so infuriating. And it was something that bugged me about Naruto as well, which is me and Seth talked about many times before, is like, I wish that he couldn't save Sasuke, so that way he can learn that you can't save everyone. But Asta is pretty much learning that he can save anyone, because every single person he reaches his hands out to save, he saves. He never really loses a battle. When he gets even close to losing a battle, someone will show up and bail him out. So then it's just like, oh well, he didn't really lose. Unlike Naruto, who lost multiple battles in that first season, and inevitably had an ultimate loss when he failed to rescue Sasuke. I mean, that was a huge thing. It was a gutsy decision to have him fail like that. Because when you fall, the rise up is so much more awesome. The rise up is so much more, beautiful and awesome and thought-provoking. But this anime felt like it didn't even want to do that. And eventually, it introduced a main villain. These villains called the Midnight Suns, not the same. And then when they introduced them as a terrorist organization, it's unpredictable. We don't know why they want to destroy us. We don't know what it is. And it was interesting. But then over time, it got more and more convoluted. That entire story got more and more convoluted. And then eventually it got to a point, I'm not going to spoil it for you, where it actually became interesting because it actually brought a moral and an interesting question up of right and wrong and justice and the justice in, you know, taking it into your own hands. Like, an interesting question that, like, only the Punisher, so a kind of Punisher style interesting question involved in it. And it was like, and it made it very conflicting from not only the characters, but for the, you know, but for everyone but watching it. And then eventually they even grinded that, the most interesting thing about about that story arc, they grinded that down to make it as simplistic as possible. And they do it every time. Every time there's a remote question brought up that might be conflicting for the heroes, they simplify it down so that the heroes won't have to make it. It's just that simple. And they do it multiple times throughout the course of the show. The show has no bite. The show is fun. It is filler fun. And the thing is, the first few seasons are actually really good. I'd give season 1 an 8, and I'd give season 7 an 8 as well. I think they're both really solid seasons. But the more they go on, more and more I kind of go, yo, this is, you know, I give season 7 an 8, season 2 a 7 actually, because the more it goes on, the more I go, this show has no bite. They're not gonna kill anyone. They're not. None of the heroes are ever gonna make a mistake. No one's gonna lose. No one's not gonna have to live with any guilt except for the bad guys. The hero's just gonna save everybody, and it started to just kind of become predictable to the point where I was binging through the entire thing just to get to the end because I was suggesting to because I knew what the ending was gonna be. I knew it could only be 2 things because I was like, they're not gonna make them ask a conflicting question because this is not that they're just not gonna do that. They want the heroes to be good and good throughout. And that's what happened. And like I said, I had fun with this anime, but admittedly, by the time I got done with season 2 and started to watch season 3, I was kind of just like, I mean, it's just all candy. It's all candy. It's good candy, but it's all candy. It's a candy anime. It's a good candy anime, but it's a candy anime. And I thought it had more in it, and I thought it had more, you know, ideas to push and complex questions to ask that they themselves put out there, but no. They grinded those complex questions down to a simple answer, and it really sucked. By the time I ended up getting to season 3, I really didn't really care anymore because I'm like, this is cool and all, but I mean, none of you guys have to deal with anything. So thank you guys for joining the Comic Game Movie Show. Please remember to like, subscribe. Did you like Black Clover? Please comment below, let me know, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.